You might be on it or no?
If I did I give my spot to you?
So like,
One of the two of us gave the spot to
better question
her, and
than
then
I
the other
thought.
one's still there, and then Sarah's.
Who's on first?
I can't go tomorrow night at Masico, otherwise I would go.
Building and grounds are Mr. Black, Ms. Baker, Mr. Gerke.
I'll be there tomorrow.
Jess isn't on it at all.
Was it Dave's?
Or wait, you said Black, Gerke, and Baker?
Front table.
Yeah.
That's the booth.
All right.
All right, so, okay, community, but otherwise, any number of us could go tomorrow night. Should we
Yes,
want
any
to?
of tomorrow night. Down the road, I'll start engaging with the building and grounds.
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on the agenda is patrons are given the opportunity to address the school board regarding items that are not on the agenda. All patrons will be asked to state their name for the record. While the school board appreciates feedback from the public in this forum, board members will not comment on or discuss topics brought up by speakers. Professional decorum is expected at all times. If at any time there's violations of the rules of decorum, the chair reserves the right to call a recess or end the session. Is there anyone here for public comment? Here for public comment? Anyone here for public comment? There being none, we will move on to the next item of the agenda, which is a program review. Ms. Lindsay Westfall.
Hello, everyone. How's it going?
What happened to your foot?
We have to go over that. Sure. Little softball injury. I also call it old age. So I'll be out of it in a week, supposedly. So that's a win. It's not broken that they know of. So fingers crossed, everyone. Today I'm just going to give a little overview of what literacy looks like at DPS. So you can't really talk about literacy without also talking about the READ Act, as I'm sure you all know. Within this presentation, I did share it with Matt, and I think you all have access to it as well. But if not, I can share the link as well. But we have a little READ Act guidance summary. And this is for me to use as well as our administration. And if teachers do want more information on the READ Act, they can check it out as well. But it's just one page of kind of all that we are doing requirement-wise. I won't go through it all because you do have access to it. But it kind of goes through all of our screening procedures, any guidance as far as special populations go, what we are doing parent and guardian communication wise, how we are moving into our evidence-based curriculum with our structured literacy. Right now, we're also trying to align all of our interventions, pre-K through 12. That'll be a process, but we have started that. And then PD we'll talk about a little bit later in the presentation, and then some district reporting and relicensure. Big things kind of this year as far as the screening goes. We are now giving the dyslexia screeners K through 12. FastBridge is our K through 3, and then CAPTI Read Basics was new this year, and that is our 4 through 12 screener. And then another big thing is that, again, K through 12, we are notifying parents when their child is reading below grade level, what interventions we are using with them, and then we are also sending out any strategies that parents can use at home with that. So that's just kind of like a general overview. Again, I would love to go more in depth with you, but just ask and we can take a look at it. So then looking at kind of what was new this year from last year. So at the K3 level, this year we are utilizing MDE composite scores. So what that is our universal screener on FastBridge. Each grade level takes multiple either subtests or different assessments through FastBridge. MDE kind of came out with some different calculations, if you will, to figure out risk levels as far as reading goes with K through 3 students. So there's a significant risk, a moderate risk, and then no risk, if you will, or little to no risk. Those risk levels go along with traits of dyslexia and then reading at, below grade level. 4 through 12, we implemented our CAPTI Read Basics, which is that dyslexia screener. It was brand new for us this year, pretty like introductory, just getting our feet wet with it. We gave that in December. Rolled out all communications, see how that went. Next year, it'll kind of be a full rollout with students and staff as well. And we're looking to be testing in the fall next year. So then moving forward every fall after our FastBridge assessments, the CAPTI Read Basics will be given for students who are flagged, if you will. And then 4 through 12, Something else new this year, these are our Phase 2 educators who fall under the READ Act as Phase 2, and they began their Science of Reading PD in Strive. That is our district professional development that we chose, and they started that in March 2026, finishing hopefully at the end of next year. And then lastly, our paraprofessionals also got some PD in here. They started, and most of them have finished their structured literacy training with us. And that kind of brings me into the professional development end. This is super exciting. So our Phase 1 teachers, pretty much all of our elementary staff, some special education staff, they will be completing their letters training this year, spring/summer of 2026. So that's been kind of a long time coming. We're very excited about that and how we're implementing all those awesome strategies in the classroom. Our Phase 2 teachers, like I just said, they just started their Strive training here in March 2026, and they will hopefully be completing that in the spring or summer of 2027. And then lastly, our paras are doing their structured literacy training. A majority have completed it this year. It is just a few 8-hour course type thing. And a majority are done, but then we have our upkeep with new hires and whatnot. I did want to mention thank you to Diane Pullman and Monica Kunkel. They were our letters trainer in-house, and then our structured literacy para trainer as well. They did a great job and took a lot on with those trainings. So thank you to them. And then lastly, I did just want to quick show us within EduClimber some of the efficiencies that we are able to use it for as far as our literacy goes. I know a couple of school board meetings back, we came in and kind of showed you a little bit about EduClimber. One big thing for literacy has been the threshold, or the use of the threshold. So within here, Monica and myself have created a bunch of different thresholds that go along with our READ Act requirements. So these thresholds tag our students in the different areas that they need to be tagged in, so we're identified where that need is. So for example, we have a threshold that goes with the CAPTI. And this kind of, after our universal screening, tags any students who might fall into the high risk or some risk areas. And then we take a look at those, cross-reference, and go from there as far as the CAPTI screening. Referencing those MDE composites. So this, we have them for each grade level. And this kind of shows us who fall in the significant and moderate risk ranges. So again, this shows us who we're putting into, say, intervention groups. A cool thing about this, so this was our fall of second grade kind of outlook. We are then able to compare when we go down to winter, we have the same type of threshold. And that pops up and kind of shows us where we're at, where we've improved. As you can see, second grade did a great job this year with that improvement in their reading scores. So that's one cool thing about thresholds that helps us along with that. And then one last thing to go along with that, we can keep looking at second grade. So these are collections, and we're again able to see kind of from one term to the next how we're doing. But when you click into these, you're also able to see a program effectiveness level. So you go in, let's say from T1 to T2 and hit search. This kind of shows us where our kids fell in each of our risk zones as far as our FAST goes. So using these in all grade levels, we're able to kind of distinguish where we're going right with our programming and where we might need some work or where those gaps kind of fall. So this has kind of been a cool use of EduClimber, and I'm really excited to kind of see how we can use that in the future to help with literacy. And that's all I have for you guys. Any questions?
Very cool tool. Exciting to be done with this first part of the READ Act. That first
That was a heavy lift.
Absolutely.
Training.
I think staff is very excited for that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Next item on the agenda is our consent agenda. This section of the agenda has a variety of financial and reports and minutes. Last meeting, I have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Corey first, second from Sarah. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries to approve the consent agenda. Next item on the agenda is our resolution for the acceptance of gifts.
Here today. Want to read it?
I've
Okay.
enlarged on my screen.
Okay.
The following organizations have generously given for the organizations and activities below. Delano Education Foundation, $1,250 for the Media Center author visit, and $297.26 for the band choir trip to Chanhassen Dinner Theater. CIS Pie, $3,500 for fiscal year 27 Eagle Bluff Transportation, and $910 for the 5th grade Saints game bus. Delano Lions, $750 for the Media Center books, and $500 for the Media Center author visit. High School Pie, $300 for 7th and 8th grade language arts, and $300 for metal shop welder. Music Boosters, $367.60 for sound rev jackets, and $1,454.63 for choir uniforms. Delano Activities Boosters, $152 for reimbursement for boys basketball admission to games. Wrestling Booster Club, $6,665.55 for booster paid coach. Delano Athletic Boosters Club, $7,233.35 for the boys hockey charter buses, and $868.34 for boys hockey banquet and viewing. Alex Roser, $985.25 for the boys swim, and $4,926.25 for girls swim. Drama Boosters, $543.45 for the spring musical costumer, and $543.45 for one act costumer. Custom Ink, $94.36. Compass Mental Health fundraiser proceeds, Delano Tiger Activities Boosters, $2,493.55, reimbursement for March 8th, 2026. JO Volleyball Tournament expenses, KLN Family Brand, Toughies, $750 for robotics brand sponsorship and logo, and Landscape Structures, $500 for robotics sponsorship. All of these organizations have generously donated funds to the activities mentioned above. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution of gifts?
So moved.
I have a second. Or motion by Ryan, do we have a second?
Second, Jim.
Second by Jim. This is a roll call vote.
And Kirky. Board Member Black?
Aye.
Board Member Roser?
Aye.
Board Member Deppa?
Aye.
Board Member Baker?
Aye.
Board Member Gerke?
Aye.
Board Member Shoust?
Aye.
And Board Member Morila?
Why did he give so much more to girls than boys?
We don't have our kid and boys anymore.
Just kidding.
The next item on the agenda is personnel matters. There are a couple people on the list that I want to highlight who have provided multiple decades of service to the district and have noticed or given their notice of retirement. Mike Schultz and also Mary Summers. Mike in the Phy-Ed department and Mary in the speech department as a pathologist. Both of those, again, have given multiple decades of service to the district, and for that, we are very grateful for all that they have done. With that, are there any other comments or questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the personnel report for this month.
So moved. I'll second.
Ryan first, second Corey. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, motion carries to approve the personnel report. Next item on the agenda, the administrative reports. First up, Superintendent Shane.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I'll be brief this evening. I talked a little bit about this at the very end of the work session, but we are going to be kicking off our Community Ed Building Facilities Committee meeting. We have over 20 people that are going to be joining us at the Community Ed Building to kick off. We're going to do introductions, going to walk through the process for the next 4 meetings. It'll be a total of 5 meetings. And we will, throughout this process, identify a few individuals who will be coming back to you in August or September to propose what they would like you to consider before that goes to the Department of Education for review and comment. But we'll keep the board apprised as we move between now and July 23rd is our final meeting, and then we'll spend some time wrapping up and putting together the proposal to the board and what that looks like. So we'll stay connected and make sure that the board is right along the way with this process as we start to develop criteria and things like that to meet the needs of our programs in our community ed building. So, and secondly and lastly is that I'm very excited that over the next couple of months, culminating in June, I'm going to give you a pretty good in-depth update on our strategic plan first year. So we're going to give you some good data to look at a high level with regards to our vision card. We're going to talk about some desired daily experience statements. How did we do? We just finished up surveying our students, our staff, and our parents with regards to those 9 statements in each of those categories. So that'll give us a good feedback on where we're at and how did we do in our first year. We'll also, either by building or even district-wide, give you some updates on the action cards that we've been working on. So it's very nice to be able to culminate the end of the year with look at all of what we've done and where are we at and how do we measure it and what do we need to make some changes to move forward into the second year of the strategic plan. So very, very excited to share that in future meetings coming up. Conclude my report and I would entertain any questions.
Next up are principal reports. First up, Ms. Thompson.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Thank you for having me this evening to present to you on behalf of the intermediate school. I also have a brief update. Last year, our site-based team set a goal of scheduling very little for the month of April, and we stuck to that goal, hence my very short report. April's a really busy month for us for MCA testing, so we just really made it a point to make everything else boring in our school. So, boring report for you. Our site-based team right now is working on just wrapping up some handbook changes, getting feedback from teachers on that. So we'll have that ready to share with you next month at the work session. For professional development this month during the early release, if you were listening to Ms. Westfall's presentation, we're just continuing to work on our letters and our Strive professional development. Most of our teachers are participating in that right now. For MTSS, we're busy, like I said, in testing and screening season. So we've done all of our MCAs this month. We have our last MCA test tomorrow. Hallelujah. It's our science test. Our 5th graders are the only grade in our building that take the science test. So that's tomorrow. That's 7 MCA tests, if anybody's counting. I know we are. Thousands of test tickets to organize, hand out, and recollect. So I really appreciate Mr. Hinker and our staff that have been helping to organize all of that. So that will be done tomorrow. And we have until the end of the week to get all of our makeups done. So get her done. We have our SABRS screener happening also this weekend, this month. SABRS, as a reminder, is our social emotional screener that we do beginning of the year and then again in the spring. We look at those results just to see if there's any school-wide supports, individual supports that we need to have in place to support social emotional needs of our students. And then we'll wrap up early May with our FAST screeners in reading and math that are a little bit more informative for us. Our MCAs are more of a, think of it more of like a point in time, kind of a summative. Our FAST we do 3 times throughout the year is a little bit more formative in nature. So we dig into that a little bit more deeply. So we'll do that at the beginning of May. We also won't see our MCA reading results right away this year like we usually do. It's a new version of the test this year, so we won't see those until the fall, which is driving my reading teachers crazy. But we will see our math results, so I can share those next time. Staffing season at the intermediate school, so we have a couple vacancies to fill. Natalie Palmer and Mary Summers are retiring, which are 2 incredibly big roles to fill, really hard people to replace, but we've been fortunate enough to fill those positions. We'll have one more role to fill. Our ADSIS behavior interventionist is resigning, so we'll have one more position to fill there, and then we should be set for now. So staffing season as well. That concludes my report for this evening. If you have any comments or questions, I can take them now.
Thank you.
All right, great, thank you.
Next up is high school report.
Yes. On behalf of Mr. Voigt, this is his scheduled time off for the school board meeting. If you've noticed that principals throughout the year have kind of rotated on some heavy lifts one month and not be present, but he did put together a report that I will gladly share with the board. Mr. Voigt would like to begin with a few recognitions, as he does every month. As we enter what we often refer to as the celebration season, we're preparing to honor the many accomplishments of our students. Senior Awards Night is Wednesday, May 13th at 7:30 p.m., and we look forward to recognizing the outstanding achievements of the class of 2026. In addition, we have met with all seniors over the past week to clearly outline end-of-year expectations, making sure that they toe the line, and the responsibilities to ensure a smooth and successful path to graduation. In terms of upcoming events and announcements, we are currently concluding the MCA testing window with science assessments wrapping up this week, immediately followed by we will transition into advanced placement testing. This is a busy and important time for our students and staff, and we appreciate the focus and effort being demonstrated across the building. As a part of our ongoing school improvement efforts, the school-based leadership team continues to review potential updates to the student handbook. This work is centered on ensuring clarity, consistency, and alignment with our building goals. We anticipate bringing recommended revisions to the board for review next month. Finally, a brief staffing update. To date, we have hired 4 new staff members to join our district, and we are excited about the experience and energy they will bring to our school community. We continue to actively recruit for 2 remaining positions, 7th and 8th grade math teacher and a .5 physical education teacher. We are optimistic about filling these roles and completing our team for the upcoming school year. Mr. Voigt wants to thank you for your continued support, and he'd be happy to answer questions next month. Further, he will be present during May's work session for a deep dive for the high school. If you have any specific topics you would like him to address, please pass them on to me, and I will pass them on to him. That concludes my report for Mr. Voigt regarding the high school.
Next up, Ms. Schultz.
Good evening, everyone. Happy to be here on behalf of the elementary school. For this evening's report, kind of the usual things to talk about. Site-based, we are also working on handbook revisions and that we will present next week. A couple highlights for those are attendance and tardy procedures. Weather-related, kind of like dress for the weather, kind of ran into some, what is the weather going to be like today? What should they be wearing? What are the guidelines? So trying to match kind of what we share with parents in one regard to our handbook. So just kind of aligning those. Class events and siblings and who should or shouldn't attend. And then the conferences as far as our, we have families just choose one time slot, even if they are separated or divorced, just in order for families to hear the same information at the same time about their child. And in the event class sizes become larger, we want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to have one time with the teachers. So just kind of shoring up some of that language. We are working on action card number 3 as well, which is our special education and general education communication processes. So I'll be able to share an update with you next month on that. We have win time in all of our grade level schedules for the upcoming year, so we're excited about that. That was something we were working on collectively this year. And then summer school as well. We have a few less students this year than we did last year for summer school. So last year we had 6 teachers to fill the enrollment for that, and this year we have 4. So we have kind of reduced numbers in kindergarten and 3rd grade, and then higher numbers in first and second. So we're doing some combination classes with a few of those. And we're just kind of talking through what does that look like for future with our summer school. Additionally, as far as staffing, as you saw in the personnel, Katie Lyon is going to be moving over to the intermediate school. So she's been at the elementary school and has done a fantastic job. And I think she's just kind of interested in a little bit of a change. Older crowd a little bit for kids. So we'll miss her, but we are actively searching for an additional SLP to join the elementary school, speech and language pathologist. For professional development, we are obviously finishing up our letters and we are so excited about that. So that will be a big celebration for our school for sure. And then, excuse me, planning for next year. We really try to think, you know, in the forefront of what do we need? And sometimes we know, and sometimes it's like, let's leave a little bit of space because we're not sure what we might need exactly, but we know for sure we have the new math curriculum, as you heard from Kim Knisley and Nick and Monica Kunkel earlier. So we definitely have time built in for that. And then EduClimber and some vertical teams to have some of those conversations regarding our curriculum. I usually have one sheet of paper and I forgot it off the printer. So I've got all these handy dandy Post-its, which is kind of how I live my life. So this is very fitting. Kindergarten numbers, we are about 5 lower currently than we were at this time last year. So we're at 145 right now. I still have several tours on my calendar that I am giving. And then we have about 12 families undecided. So I'm optimistic that we'll get those seats filled, but we are 5 under than what we were this time last year. And last, some big events that were celebrated last week. We had over 120 kids submit a presentation and project into the Imagination Fair at the elementary school. And oh my goodness, it was impressive if you were able to go. Great design elements and imagination for sure, creativity and support of families and community. It was packed in our gym. So it was wonderful. So our science committee does a great job organizing that, and it was just a really smooth night. I think our custodians moved the tables maybe 5 or 6 times to get it just right, but we got everything fit in there, and it was a wonderful night. And the elementary school, we finally were able to participate, not because we weren't invited. We've always been invited to the DAPE extravaganza in Rockford through Masico. And we were finally able to get it together and get our kids over there this year. And that was really exciting. So that is a wonderful event. And we had a great turnout of our elementary kiddos that were able to participate. So that was really fun. Upcoming, we have Mrs. Coots music concerts for grades 2 and 3 in May. And then we have field trips and field day coming up. And that is a wrap for the elementary school. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, the science fair, we're going to probably have to look at the TAC. If it continues to grow and gets big, I walked into that gym and there's not much room for anything else, and it was packed.
Yeah.
It was awesome, great energy, a lot of excitement, but we might have to look.
Yeah, I mean, it's beyond just the trifold with like facts, and I mean, they've got the stuff and the, you know, instruments and the batteries and the lemons and the potatoes and, you know, everything that they're making and creating. It was great. I mean, it always is, but.
By the way, I think I remember.
Oh yes, I saw the marshmallows going flying across the gym. That's great. Anything else? Very good. Thank you all.
Ms. Mary Reeder, our business manager.
Just real quick, I am finalizing data in preparation for our finance committee meeting on Wednesday this week. I think Matt and I met this morning, so it's all pretty well ready to go. We're still looking good this year and into next year, and after that, we'll be looking at maybe some changes, but it's all going to depend on legislative stuff as well. But we'll bring that to the board after we meet with the finance committee. And I did want to thank you for allowing Scott Lesage to start in May. Having him come in a little sooner is going to make that transition a lot easier, especially since our accountant is out now too, until hopefully she'll be back in June. So
When does he show his face?
May 7th, a week
Next
from Thursday.
Thursday of next week.
Yep.
And that's permanent? Cool. Awesome.
So yeah, so you won't need me after the fact.
Just don't teach them your bad habits, Mary, okay?
I will do my best to do that. So, thank you.
Great, next.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me. I delivered some super secret papers while we were on break. You can take a peek. I want to debut the information, the promo for our TKC summer program. If you notice what street this is, we have the old and the new, or the old and the current. And this is TKC's way of launching summer 2026, Uncover the Past, Create the Future, celebrate 150 years. The little B in the middle is our Sesky Spark. And he's going to be guiding us on, how we practice our summer, how we learn about the past, how we engage with the future. It's a pretty exciting project that Rachel Wallace, our TKC school-age child care coordinator, has been working diligently alongside Becca Sieberlich, and it's going to be exciting. If this is any indication, I think we're off to a great start. So with that, I wanted to say that we have 226 students registered for summer programming. We do not have an active wait list, which is the first time in a while. So that's super exciting. Last year, this time, they hired 31 summer people. We hired 5 this year because so many have returned. So that's super exciting. That is a huge shift in workload for TKC this summer. When you're training 31 new people and you're trying to create that team atmosphere, that takes a lot of time. This year, it's more about how do we refresh, how do we add tools to our toolbox, how do we hit the ground running. So very excited about that. Right now, and I shouldn't say we, Rachel Wallace is trying to figure out how to coordinate transportation for over 58 activities. And that means that everybody who comes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, and all of the things that they want to attend here for community ed programming, she puts that all together and tries to connect the dots. Last year, we did 3,500 student trips back and forth. It's no small feat, and it kind of hurts my brain to think about it. So I'm not going to say it's a we, it is definitely a her. She does an amazing job. To date, we have completed, you've heard me talk about early childhood screenings quite a bit. And next month, I believe I'm back here to talk about early childhood family ed and do a deeper dive. But I'm super excited to say that to date, we have completed 162 early childhood screenings, with 91 of those in just the last month. That's a lot. That is a lot of kids, a lot of screenings. I'm also very happy to report that of the incoming kindergarten students, between those that have been screened and our final day on May 8th, we will be caught up with all of the incoming students. So to date, everybody will be screened before summer. I'm sure we'll have a couple stragglers that, either move in or transition. There's still some families deciding. But that's also a huge workload shift for our staff coming into the fall months, where you're trying to screen them at the same time you're trying to do orientation. We are excited that we will be shifting some of our momentum to further align how we get our preschool students and any of our community members ages 3 to 5 screened. Right now we have 22% of our returning and incoming preschool students. 22% have been screened. That number, in my opinion, is way too low. We don't know the students that we're getting. They're brand new to us. This is a quick way to get to know them. It's a huge planning tool for our teachers, but it also helps us, you keep hearing me say, if there is something that pops up on a screening that's not a diagnosis, it's not an evaluation, it's simply a recommendation to seek additional information. And should something come of that, if we can provide services earlier, that's always going to be best. So one of our action cards really focused on early childhood screening, and I'm very proud of the staff and how they've all pulled together and done a fabulous job. Last week, I received an email from a preschool teacher who said, oh, by the way, we're going to be walking to DIS and back. And I emailed Becca and I was like, tell me more. Preschool 4-year-olds are going to walk to DIS and back, and sure they did. They stopped at some parks, they stopped at DES, DIS, they went and learned about some music, and then they walked back. That's a long ways for, I mean, even me, but much less short people to do. So super impressed that, you know what, they go out and they get after it and had a great time. And then these, you know, little kids get to tell mom and dad, I walked 2 miles plus did all the playing at parks along the way. So I thought that was a great way to get out and experience the mile in between. Touch a Truck, I'll put in a final plug. It looks like it's going to be a very nice Saturday morning. I think it's going to be in the 60s, but from 10 to noon, we have Touch a Truck. We still have a confirmed helicopter pending weather. We have a no sensory hour from 10 to 11 where there are no horns, no flashing lights, and then, you know, they go wild from 11 to 12. But it's open, it's free to all community members. I don't know how well they would want adults climbing in all the things, but the kids can do it. So we hope to see you there. Shifting my focus. In the last 3 weeks since summer registration has opened, we've had over 1,700 registrations. So we're looking to have a very strong, very active summer. In our 7th and 8th grade baseball, softball, golf, and boys tennis, we have 93 participants. So 7th and 8th grade sports are the programs that Chris Runke oversees along with our youth recreation program. So together, that's a huge plate. So seeing that we had 93 7th and 8th graders is fabulous. And April 25th wrapped up our JO volleyball season. Here again, we had 14 teams and 125 players. That's a lot. And we just want to give a special shout out to Anna Toole. The program would not be what it is without her guidance and leadership. So if you happen to see her, pass along our appreciation. Finally, Delano Public Schools and the TAC and the PAC, we try to be those good community partners and bring people in. Lori Line will come back this December. So if you didn't get a chance to see her last year, you have another one. Other opportunities coming up, Studio 55 will be doing a dance routine. Highlands Church is going to re-begin offering church services here at the end of May. And the Delano Dramatic is going to be doing auditions for their summer performance that will come here at the end of July. So it's never a dull moment and never unused space. So any questions? Thanks for having me.
Debbie?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, our student board representative.
We'll start off with our high school. The main event of this month was prom with the theme of Enchanted Garden. The play Kiss Me Kate will have their final run through this Saturday. And some achievements recently, we had Maya Werner, who broke her own school record at the Hamlin Elite Meet with a 2-mile time of 10 minutes and 40 seconds. At the MSHSL Art Festival, 9 students submitted their work. Overall, there were 2 excellence and 7 superior ratings. Sam Kodesh received 2 spotlights on the Art Awards for his digital photography. And lastly, congratulations to the speech team. Oliver Berg became a state champion, and Ariana Langdon got 3rd in their speech over the weekend. At the intermediate school, as you heard, the main thing was just the MCAs. And although these tests might not be the most fun for the students, the teachers do a great job about providing positive feedback and giving them little treats every now and then.
And for the elementary school, we had a lot of NHS involvement this month, so our hour sheet is actually due tonight. As the vice president, I had a lot of emails from students getting some last minute hours. Now, although again, it was severely procrastinating that they waited until now, we'll still take the involvement. So there was a lot of students going back and forth, which is always really fun. That concludes our report. I actually entered a scholarship for school board, and I was going to share my essay that I wrote for that with you guys. Right. I never imagined that sitting in around a long boardroom table every 4th Monday of the month, listening to conversations about policies and levies, would become one of the most educating, rewarding parts of my high school career, but I can confidently say that it has been. This experience has given me a firsthand look at how decisions are made at the district level, and how those decisions affect students' lives in ways I'd never considered before. I quickly realized that being part of a governance isn't about enforcing rules, but about understanding the needs of the community and thinking carefully about the impact of every choice. When I first got chosen as a school board representative, I wanted to make sure every student voice got represented. I worked to bring perspectives across from students from different grades, backgrounds into discussions, knowing that some of them have never felt their opinions mattered. Hearing from students, sharing those perspectives with the board, reminded me that leadership isn't just about making noise, but creating a space for others to be heard. One of the most meaningful parts of this role was helping students feel genuinely heard, sometimes for the first time. After hosting listening sessions with students from groups whose voices are often overlooked, several told me it was the first time that anyone had truly paid attention to their experiences in high school. Those conversations made all the long meetings and preparations worthwhile. They reminded me that even small actions like listening or sharing concerns can have a lasting impact on how students experience their school. I also learned a lot about working in spaces that felt very different from the classroom. Talking with adults in meetings required me to explain student perspective clearly while still being able to be respectful of other viewpoints. Over time, I became more confident in how I spoke, how I asked questions, and how I shared ideas in ways that could truly influence decisions. I learned that the most effective contributions are thoughtful ones, not necessarily the loudest. Being on the board also gave me a new understanding about how governance works. Decisions aren't made quickly, every choice has multiple factors to consider. I saw firsthand how much discussion and negotiation goes into even small changes. Representing students showed me how policy decisions can affect day-to-day experiences, from schedules to programs, and that's why it's so important to include perspectives of all the people whose experience those will change. Lastly, at the same time, being a student representative was challenging. My junior and senior years were incredibly busy. Balancing schoolwork, extracurriculars, and board responsibilities wasn't easy. There were weeks that everything felt like it was happening at once, and it took planning and focus to stay on top of it. Even though it was stressful at times, pushing through those challenges was very rewarding. It taught me how to balance priorities, to stay organized, and to fully commit to something that matters to others, not just myself. Overall, this experience taught me lessons that I'll carry with me beyond high school. I've learned that leadership is less about control and more about perspective, understanding the people around you and working to make their experiences better. This role has inspired me to continue advocating for others and to use what I've learned in a part of my everyday life.
Nice job.
I know you guys, so thank you. That concludes our. Any questions?
Thank you both. Next item on the agenda are board reports. First board report is from Masiko. Yeah, our April was at the end of March, was our regular board meeting. Wasn't a whole lot of new information. One change that is sort of impactful for Masiko, but in a very disconnected way from like our work. There's a new federal mandate where Medicaid providers need to have a federal identification number to document the services that they are providing. So this applies to providers like audiologists, mental health professionals, often that's a social worker, occupational therapists, physical therapists, and speech language pathologists. So Masiko's executive director is managing that and will continue to provide us updates on how that is going. Staffing is strong at Masiko right now. We're fully staffed with behavior analysts for the first time and fully staffed in the birth to 2 team. That was a real pinch point within the last year, so that's good news. We heard about how Masiko handles state testing and assessment, which again, across all of our different sites with our student population, Masiko is a lot of work and a lot of effort. And we are meeting this month, tomorrow night, at the Sholand Home for Girls, which is one of Masiko's care and treatment programs, where Masiko provides the educational component for that site. That's it. Sarah. Yep. Next up, Right Tech Center, Ryan.
Also, quite business as usual. Walked through a couple of new scholarships that they are able to give to students, the Wade Construction Pathway Scholarship and the Thomas J. Palman Memorial Scholarship, both for $1,500. They'll be able to, that adds to their total. They already have like 6 or 7 they give out. Talked a little bit about the Wright Academy and how their enrollment is up 7 students from last report out. It's almost completely full, which is a very positive thing because it's a moneymaker for them, or it limits a loss, I should say, if you fill that up from a staffing perspective and things. It's hard to staff for. So they were excited about that. Financials were pretty business as usual, nothing like majorly outstanding. They're still on track with most of their budget. And then we talked a bit about the MASSA, Menacti, and MDE days at the Capitol, and Brian, the superintendent, gave us just a little bit of information and how he was kind of chasing legislators and other people around trying to get meetings, which it sounds like is a bit of a juggling act, but certainly seeking support. Many of the people he was able to talk to sound very supportive, but that's not been dissimilar to the past. It's whether or not when they get time to actually like vote and fund and possibly, give money to, will it actually happen? So he remains hopeful. He's continuing to kind of pound pavement, but TBD on whether or not additional funding comes to the Wright Tech Center. And then lastly, they talked about some students of the month, which I would like to call out two people that were Delano students. Blake Nemick in construction technology was voted as the student of the month. And then in entrepreneurship, Jake Studer, I believe maybe is how it's pronounced, was the student of the month. And that was two of the 7 students of the month. So 2 of them came out of Delano, which is really cool. So other than that, quick meeting, lots of procedural stuff, but yeah.
Brian, next up, Rachel, you've got the next two,
Alright.
SAF and SAFE.
Yeah, SAF and SAFE. So SAF schools advocating for fair funding had their meeting. Representative Mueller and Representative Lawrence were there. Basically, it says if you have a bill you really want to pass, hold your breath. It's not going to happen. Nothing's happening. One-time money may go through. Yep, Mystic for Wright Tech. He said because all of the congressmen are going back to their districts begging to be reelected. So what money can I bring back to my district and hope something happens to get me reelected? Outside of that, if you want money, it's not coming. They talked about a school safety bill that has momentum in the Senate with a one-time bump in funding, but no momentum in Congress. So that went well. Talked about the challenge for general education teachers when students with behaviors are not able to be included in the classroom without being disruptive, and that's where that school safety money conversation came in. How do we keep other students in the classroom safe? How do we keep teachers safe? Things along that line. They discussed literacy, where we're at with the READ Act. There was a suggestion by a SAF member that the legislature take the 10th grade reading MCAs and publish their scores and see how they compare to what's happening in districts, and that was shot down rather quickly. So I don't see that happening. There's $35 million in compensatory hold arm money, but expect nothing else. Anything, I don't know if you were on or not.
I couldn't.
Okay. And then Safe Schools was at end of last month, but between meetings, so it works out. We talked a little bit about the road work on County Line Road coming up. We talked about the prom crash car that your kids saw outside the building before prom. Elementary school talked about their work getting kids to disconnect from electronics, being ready for the summer. And the big thing was Wright County Access Point is new. It's a new Wright County app for all the services they have. So if you're looking for something, you need help with an area, trying to figure out where can I get help with either access to food or access to a social service program, there's an app now that will get you there. It's way easier to use on their website. And so they're promoting that.
Any questions for Rachel? Thank you, Rachel. There is no old business, so the next item is new business, and the item on the agenda is to approve the Wright Tech Center's long-term facility maintenance resolution.
Yep, this was brought forward at the work session last month, and so this is something we do every year. It does get added onto our levy each year in the fall, but the numbers stay pretty close to the same each year, so it's a little under a little over $44,000 that they'll put towards their LTFM projects. So everything was linked on the board agenda, and we just need to pass a resolution. Any questions?
If not, then a motion to approve facility maintenance. Depa first, second?
Second.
Jim? Any discussion? Not
Roll call.
Roll call.
Board Member Gerke. Board Member Baker. Board Member Roser. Board Member Deppa. Board Member Shost. Board Member Moraila. And Board Member Black.
Aye.
You all, the motion carries to approve the long-term facility maintenance resolution for Right Track. Next item on the agenda is to adjourn. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Brian?
Second.
Second, Corey? Sorry, Jess, I'm not sure if you got in there or not.
Oh, sorry.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you and have a great night, everyone.
Oh, you got it before 8 o'clock. Look at you go.
Yeah, that's a fast 8 to
Had an hour